I learned along the way that looking at something dark through a different lens can change everything. And that's what Andre did. Considering your mortality more often can actually help you live a bigger, brighter life, right? That idea of if I consider my death every day, I'm going to live a brighter day and a better life because of it.
In the creative world, we often talk about disruptive work, but disruptiveness takes on a whole new meaning when the subject is terminal illness. How do you take a subject as heavy as stage 4 colon cancer and turn it into a documentary that makes people laugh? You do it by leaning into the absurdity, honoring a friend's irreverent spirit, and refusing to let a taboo topic stay in the shadows. Joining me today are Jason Harris, Tommy Means, and Tony Benna from Mekanism. They are the creative minds behind Andre is an Idiot, a film that defied traditional storytelling to create a movement around colon cancer awareness. I'm Leslie Blunt, and this is Campaign Chemistry.
Somewhere in here, I have Kim Kardashian's pants.
If I had to describe Andre in one word, it would be
unique, crazy,
funny, talented, insane.
My plan was scrape her DNA and clone her.
But Andre is a brilliant idiot.
It's true. I'm a fucking idiot for not getting a colonoscopy when I turned 50.
Welcome, everyone, to Campaign Chemistry. We've got some gentlemen here who have created a very powerful and important piece of work, both as a campaign and as a film. So we're going to be talking about all of that today. We've got Jason Harris, co-founder and CEO of Mekanism, Tommy Means, co-founder and chief creative officer of Mekanism, and Tony Benna, who is the director of a documentary called Andre is an Idiot. And they will tell you all about this documentary. And they will tell you all about this incredible work and the amazing campaign that came from this work. So which one of you would like to start?
Why don't we have Tony give the background on how the film started, and, you know, Tommy and I can give some color commentary on who Andre was.
Absolutely. First off, thanks for having us and for talking about this film with us. Andre and I worked together at Mekanism actually for, probably 10 years. And Andre was one of these creative directors and writers that had these wild ideas. They were always ideas that you might get arrested or break a bone trying to shoot these things. You just never knew what was going to come out of Andre. And he'd hire me to direct a lot of his jobs because I was with Mekanism too when I was a junior director. And they were always an adventure. And, we always had a good time, but he always had these ideas that would take you off the beaten path. But they were great. It was like somehow he could sell, we're going to go meet the guitar technician of the Rolling Stones and it's going to be for Dove soap. And you're like, what? But it would work, And so anyways, him and I hadn't spoken in about 5 years because I'd moved to the East Coast with my family. And I'd get a random email right after 2020. I'm looking for work. And he's like, I got this great project. You're going to love this. Can we get on a Zoom? And so I'm like, all right, great. Here comes the next crazy Andre ad. We get on a Zoom and he's like all excited to tell me about this idea. And he's like, I got stage 4 cancer and I want to make a comedy film. And I was like, what? Like, even for you, this is out there? And at first I just figured because it's Andre being Andre, he's messing with me. He's making a joke. But he wasn't. And that's how it started. And obviously, I said yes to the project after a few weeks of letting the fact that he had cancer digest. And we went from there, and he insisted it be a comedy. And I thought to myself, hey, cancer's not funny, but there's not another human being that's more irreverent and hilarious than Andre. And if anyone could make a subject like this funny, it's him. So I knew I had a great character. It was just a hard subject to walk into.
Okay. So, Tony, if we could get Andre's full name, please.
Andre Ricciardi.
Excellent, because we want everyone to do some Google work when they get off this episode and just look him up. It's incredible that one thing I learned about creatives is they have such out the box thinking. So of course, you get a diagnosis like that. And then the thing that comes to mind is, I want to make a movie about this. So like, When he said that to you, what were the feelings what were the emotions that were going through your head at the time?
Well, at first, like I said, I thought he was messing with me. And then, sadness once I realized he wasn't. And I just said, can I have a couple of weeks just to think about the fact that you have cancer before we decide to make jokes about it? And he was like, sure. Sorry, I should have dumped this on you all at one time like that. And I thought about it over the 2 weeks. And I remember my wife said to me, because it was a risk, I'm taking on another project. We have no money. This is not going to be paid. It's a documentary and not funded at the time. And I remember my wife said, even if you just capture stories for his family, he's asking you to do something so intimate, and he didn't ask another director. And even if you could just do that, like he's really giving you, he's trusting you with something, with maybe his final story. And so that resonated. And I thought, she's right. And he called me and I should do this. Who cares where it goes? Let's just see.
And Jason and Tommy, when were you brought in and what were your thoughts?
I was brought in when Andre called me and he wanted to interview me for the project. And I think I, like most people, have definitely been impacted by cancer. I lost my little brother to cancer. And during that process, I did learn that it's very hard to talk about death and dying. Culturally in America, it's a taboo. Particularly talking about dying. Talking about death is there's a finality to it and it's gone past, but the idea of talking about dying with somebody that is dying, there are no rules around it. And I think our first impetus is to want to say goodbye. And it's like, well, who are you saying goodbye for? The person that has cancer probably doesn't want to hear that. Are you saying goodbye to make yourself feel better? So I thought that this was a really interesting project to sort of help people understand that there are nuances around it. There are ways to treat people that have cancer that, are terminal, which Andre was. So I was really fascinated about sort of bringing to light the feelings that I had in engaging with my little brother, in that process. And he did pass away, and there were some regrets that I had, after he died, things that were left unsaid. So I think that was the powerful thing about this film. It actually shows that, there are ways to do it. And Andre's, had he wanted to sort of ease the discomfort around talking about dying by making people laugh. So that was really kind of what interested me personally about it.
Yeah, I mean, we worked with Andre for about 10 years at Mekanism. Tony also worked there, and producer of the film, Lee, also worked with us. So this was kind of at the formative years of building Mekanism, and Andre was always our go-to, like the wildest ass ideas that you would, put in the back of the deck were always Andre's. They were always just like, wouldn't it be amazing if, and he always had these ideas, and he was probably one of the most creative people we've ever, worked with or came across. And so when, after he talked to Tommy and then he talked to me about the film idea, your sort of mind goes to, what's going to happen? Is this film actually going to get made? Is Andre going to, take this seriously? And is this going to be, will this come to fruition, or is this one of Andre's other crazy ass ideas? It was kind of like what Tony thought of, but really he was so, passionate about it. That passion was so contagious. Everyone that, he came across or asked about helping out just dove right in. And really what he wanted to do was prevent someone, a lot of other people dying from not getting a colonoscopy. And so his mission was, let's make a comedy and document, the end of my life as we go through this. But at the same time, let's make a picture that is a, full-length feature film that's a PSA, so that the, folks that are not getting colorectal that could lead to colorectal cancer death, they get a colonoscopy. And that was really, he had this like really hardcore purpose of not just documenting himself and making a film, but to really get, put a dent in culture and get people talking about colon cancer, which was, a very virtuous idea for him.
Yeah. Always thinking of the work while he's going through this thing. Was there ever any hesitation in making this for you personally?
Tommy and I were in the film, and then we did the surrounding campaign to support the film, which was really all about colonoscopy reminders. But really, Tony was he created the entire story. And I know, Tony, there's times we talked about this where Andre always wanted it to be a comedy. And is that tone always right when you're documenting someone's, going through, chemotherapy and, how he deals with his family? And he always wanted to keep it as a comedy.
When I watched the film, it was beautifully done. First of all, congrats to all of you. I thought that how he and his wife met and got married, I thought that was insane. The family dynamic and is how they weren't really taking things seriously just in general, because he was just that type of person that everything was just so just, I don't know if whimsical is a good word to describe it, but it's it was just, that's how the household was. So then you had this terminal illness that came into the fray, and is oh, well, now we're dealing with this, and it wasn't real until it was.
To answer your first question about, was there trepidation outside of, knowing that he had cancer? Of course, I thought to myself, I have a lot of cancer in my family as well. So I knew what cancer could do to somebody. I've seen, people in hospice and last breaths and things like that all through cancer. So I was well aware of where it could go. Of course, we had a lot of hope that there was all these clinical trials and all these amazing things that Andre was up for. We thought we might be making a film about him surviving this at times. And so when you talk about kind of the emotional roller coaster of the film, I really wanted the audience to go on the same journey that I did and that we all did around him. And that journey was that, it was mostly fun and funny because of Andre, because he would keep things lighthearted. And anytime, maybe I hadn't seen him in a month and I'd walk in and he's skinny and he's looking pretty beat up, he would make a joke. And so he would cut that tension immediately, and then we're able to hang out as friends and have a normal conversation. As Tommy said, it's hard to talk about these things, but Andre really opened that up easily, because through humor, he was able to open that conversation. And I wanted the cadence of the film to really represent the times that we felt a little bit afraid, and the times we were having a lot of fun. And every time it gets a little scary, I bring Andre in to cut it with a joke, because that's what he would have done. All the way up to the end, I try to keep Andre's humor in there, because it's the best way to get the message across. We've all seen sad cancer films, and I don't think that the message of get your colonoscopy and inspiring people would have had the same impact if this had been a 90-minute really sad cancer film. It's really, honestly, the humor that allows us to open this conversation that we're having now.
Yeah. Now, only a few of you were actually directly involved in the film, but was the team at Mekanism aware of the fact that you guys were doing this film, and were they how did that go there? Because I went to the screening, and there were a lot of people in that audience that I'm guessing were part of the Mekanism team, because there was a lot of emotion in that audience.
Yeah, I mean, Mekanism was involved pretty much from the beginning. When you said earlier that, creatives tend to have insane ideas that translate into life, right? And the more kind of out there you are creatively, the more you kind of come up with an idea like this that Andre did. Well, Mekanism cultivated that entire group of people. So when we were all working there, everyone there was a little bit insane. And I'd say that they still are for the most part. But that group of sort of misfits and people thinking outside the box is what Mekanism surrounded themselves with. And when Andre got this diagnosis, he did the exact same thing. He went back to that era and literally surrounded himself with the people he knew could approach a subject like this with humor, create art when about something so dark, and that will stick with it to the end. And so I'd say that, yeah, Mekanism was involved from the beginning, but really Mekanism's culture that they had, surrounded us with and all the people we met during that time came together to make this film.
And how did this experience impact the culture at Mekanism? Like, are you guys, did you guys have like a mental health professional on site talking to you all?
No, we really Tommy and I kind of just, as the film came out, we wanted people that are at Mekanism now to watch it, and people that were in the halls over, the past 20 years to watch it. And most of them knew about Andre, not necessarily like in the last 5 years, because he wasn't working here. But I think Tommy and I both feel, and would say that the best thing we did at Mekanism was bring together groups of people outside of Mekanism that still work together today, even outside of Mekanism. So we had something special that, as people go through Mekanism, they'll start companies together or make films together or work together. And I think that's like probably our greatest achievement, I would say, beyond the work.
I would add to that, that it was a very cathartic experience to bring the ex-Mechanistas together to celebrate Andre. Leslie, I think you said it, like, we had a screening in California and outside of San Francisco here, and before the film started, they asked, who here used to work at Mekanism, and I think, 30 or 40 hands went up. And I think it was also great for our current employees to sort of see the DNA of Mekanism. They really sort of understood that, the best ideas aren't always linear and can come from crazy places. And Andre really sort of embodied that. So I think culturally it was really healthy for, all the people that worked at Mekanism that didn't have a chance to work with them to sort of see, like, this is what Mekanism, is all about. So I think the impact on our culture was pretty amazing.
Incredible. Given your agency's tagline is somewhere between soul and science, it seems like working on this project was just kind of a natural order of business for you guys.
Yeah, it was really fun. I mean, I think when Andre asked for us to pitch a campaign to promote the movie and to document it within the movie, obviously it was a very meta experience for us. And also an honor. I mean, to create an idea to promote the film, but also to promote colon cancer awareness and to, serve as a catalyst for people to get colonoscopies. It was just such a worthwhile idea. I mean, it was very emotional, but also, what is a very impactful call to action to sort of wake people up to get a colonoscopy, because it's not exactly top of mind for people in their 40s and 50s.
As a woman in her 50s, officially, yeah, that all too real. So getting that box was kind of a wake up call. Thanks for that. Did Andre select those items, or did you guys all collectively work on that?
As far as the campaign ideas?
Yeah. So like, who chose the bagel? Who chose the balloon?
I think Mekanism chose them at first. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't. The process of choosing the random objects really boiled down to, wow, that really looks like an asshole. Let's use it. Didn't go much further than that.
Okay. Now, I'm curious, because I obviously, I read the materials that Sarah Kate sent over, and I want to know if you guys could tell me what was going to be in the booty juice had that idea gone forward.
Combination of Red Bull and vodka.
It was going to be a little mixer.
Okay. Noted. The green juice. So what was it like screening this film at Sundance and then winning awards for it?
It was incredible. I mean, getting into Sundance was something I hadn't even considered. But the opening night there, the opening day, I was so afraid that people wouldn't understand the humor. or that, Andre would be a little too out there for some folks. But within the first 3 minutes, people are laughing out loud and the whole audience is uproarious. And I realized, okay, they get it. We're in. And at that point I was able to calm down. But, and then by the end, it does get heavier, right? We have to have the message of, we have to show what happened. And I just think that the audience went on that emotional roller coaster ride exactly how I'd hoped they would. And it was really intense to kind of see them feel the feelings that I felt editing, the feelings that I felt shooting and directing this project. And then at the end to have that call to action of get your colonoscopy and realizing that this could save lives. I mean, the end card, the end titles, right, in the film, I just mocked up what Mekanism had pitched with the campaign idea into the titles, but we hadn't actually created it yet. But my hope was always that this will get created. We will find the funding for it. And this is just the start. And it was the idea Andre loved and the idea he wanted to move forward with. So it just felt suiting to end the film with that. A little bit of hope at the end of you still have time. Go get your colonoscopy. Don't be an idiot like Andre. That's kind of the message. Don't be an idiot, And so anyways, Sundance was incredible and great honor. And I think that's when we really realized we might be able to make this campaign nationwide, potentially worldwide, depending if we can get the funding or not.
So film is out. The campaign is out. What's next?
Well, film is out on streamers right now for rental. It'll land on a streamer, definitely in the next few weeks, I believe. And then as far as the campaign, we're still working on getting that financing to make it a wider, to try to make it nationwide or worldwide. Mekanism had done small bits of that campaign around the theatrical release. So, in New York City, we plastered the walls with those images around the theater where the film was screening or opening night. Same thing in San Francisco. But really, we need, a little bit of financing to get that off the ground. And so the great news is that the film's been screening with a lot of nonprofits in the colon cancer and colon cancer awareness world. And there's a lot of interest also with medical institutions, Harvard and all these different universities are wanting to talk about the film, show the film. So we're optimistic that the film that the PSA will get out there into the world. It's just a matter of when, and hopefully sooner than later, because I do think that the two work in tandem. It's the film entertains you, and then the campaign is the real world impact. It that spreads wide and hopefully saves lives. And so for me, I just feel that we didn't just leave a legacy for our friend Andre, and Andre didn't just leave his legacy with us, but we also potentially can save millions of lives. And even in the last, I'd say since Sundance, just myself as the director, I've probably had 40 people call me and say that they got tested early and they had a cancerous polyp and that Andre saved his life, including people that worked on the film. Some people that worked on the film got tested because they thought they recognized symptoms. They're in stage 3. And so there's so many people that went and got their colonoscopy just because of this movie that we see that it actually can have that impact and save quite a few lives. So yeah, we also, Lee and I, before the theatrical release, we all went to DC because every year, March is colon cancer awareness month. And there's a group called Fight CRC where they bring people from every state that are interested in lobbying Congress for more funding. Colon cancer is the number one, killer of people under 50 now, and as far as cancers go, more than lung, more than breast. For people under 50, colon cancer is now the highest mortality rate, and it's the least funded. And so the whole goal of going to Congress was to try to raise money. And the craziest thing was that they wanted to raise $20 million nationwide for research. And we're in like the second or third congressman or woman's office pitching, hey, we're trying to raise money for colon cancer. Can you help? And one of the congressman's assistants was like, 20 million, it's gonna be hard to get through pass through. And I said, well, if it helps, Andre's chemo alone cost 8 million. And then another guy in the room who was currently on chemo, he's like, mine's cost 12. And I was like, so between those two, that's 2 people that cost 20 million. We're asking for 20 million for the entire nation. So our eyes lit up. People were like, whoa. I was like, if you want to save money, let's research this thing and let's prevent this. And I would say last thing about the it being in DC was that they were very receptive to the idea of a film helping push advocate for health, because they understood. Well, we helped that we were with the California congressmen and women, but they understood the impact a film could have. And so yeah, hopefully we can get this film far and wide and get the campaign out there nationwide. So,
well, hopefully someone's listening who can make more of that happen. That is a wild, wild story right there. Because putting it all in perspective, how the money that you're looking for is the entire cost of 2 people's chemo treatment. It's astounding, and it should be a no-brainer.
Yeah, you'd think.
One thing I think is just in this conversation that comes to mind about raising the money, but even before raising the money, just the success that this project has had, winning audience award at Sundance, getting picked up in 30 cities nationwide, getting streamers to play it, has a 97% on Rotten Tomatoes. Just very, very successful. The most successful creative thing that Andre's ever done was the last creative thing that he ever did. And the idea that he was doing something purpose-driven to help other people not go through what he was going through and then to document it, I think is just like such a beautiful memory and very poetic. And it's amazing and astounding to see how successful the last project he worked on has become.
Just to put a finer point on that, there are very few people in the world that get to have their story told. And I just think it speaks to, the power of his personality, the power of his ideas. Advertising is pretty fleeting, but a documentary like this is just going to stay around forever. And to have your legacy imprinted into pop culture like that, I just think speaks volumes about Andre, but also speaks volumes to Tony's talent and his storytelling capabilities. And so I think that's one of the things that I'm really excited about is what's next for Tony. I can't wait to see what you come up with next, because this film was amazing.
Yeah, what is next, Tony?
I've got a bunch of stickies on the wall right here with 5 or 6 ideas that I have in development. But I can't talk about them all on this podcast. But yeah, looking for that next film and, looking for something that still rides that line of comedy and tragedy. But hoping to jump into narrative. And I don't want anyone to have to die during my film. So I think I'm done with that.
Yes, I would like to think so.
Yeah. But I will say one thing about advertising, to what Tommy was talking about is, Andre in the beginning, I don't know if he fully knew that he wanted to have this as a redemption piece. He was a lot of interviews, he talked about how, he wished he would have done a little bit more for the world and even in his advertising work. And then I remember we were sitting at this weed farm in Mendocino, and Andre's talking about being, they're talking about having multiple lives. And Andre's like, if I have multiple lives, I feel like this is the one where I had the intellect and I had the know-how and I messed up. And this guru guy is smoking a joint, and he's like, but you're not dead yet. And Andre's eyes kind of lit up. And I swear within a day or two, he was like, maybe we could do something to give back. Maybe we could make something that's like a redemption piece. He's like, I have the connections. We have the connections. And I swear it clicked. It was like, this film isn't just about me going through cancer. It could be so much bigger. And I think for all of us, that was such a gift. I mean, for me personally, he saved me from having that same feeling, if I become terminal or on my deathbed, of feeling like maybe I didn't give back, because now I feel like with the effort of this project, I have, and hopefully I can continue that. But he lit the torch for me. And so, I would just ask people to do the same thing. Look at things that, and Mekanism did too. I mean, all the work was pro bono. Everybody just came in to help, to make impact, to save lives, and to be with Andre. So yeah, I hope that people will use their talents in that way as well to really reach out to the world.
I love that you said that, because sometimes, folks comment or make jokes that, it's just advertising. We're not saving lives. But in this instance, you you definitely are.
And it helps balance out when you're, getting people to open a new checking account or, selling, canned soup or whatever work you do in advertising, to be able to use those skills to save lives at the same time is it balances it out. It makes you feel great.
Excellent. Well, if there's anything else that you'd like to add.
One of the interesting things that happened in part of the story that's true is Lee, Andre's best friend who you meet in the film, Lee had asked Andre a year and a half before when they were both turning 50 to come get a colonoscopy with him. And he was kind of joking, but really serious. He's like, hey, we got a schedule and let's just do it together. It's not a thing we all want to do, but if we're going to do it, let's have fun with it. We can call each other. We can make jokes. We can go in together. We'll get our colonoscopies and we'll call it a couple's colonoscopy. And, Andre was kind of like, I don't know, that sounds insane. And he didn't do it. And Andre didn't go. Lee went and got checked and was, he had a clean bill of health. Andre waited another year and a half. And it wasn't until he started having symptoms, which he thought was from riding his Peloton, that he finally went and got his colonoscopy. And at that point, he already had cancer. If he had gone with his friend a year and a half forward, the doctors say that he would have probably had cancer, but it would have been curable. It would have been something they could have fixed. And one of the campaigns that Mekanism came up with, which it wasn't one that we ended up going with, but I still think it's a very powerful message, is sometimes you need a buddy or a friend to go with you to you almost have to let's do this together. And I swear, since the film came out, I have friends calling me saying I'm doing my prep and they're calling me all night, and calling me the next day. Hey, it's all clear. But the film inspires people. And I think that they get a little nervous to have this procedure. So it helps to have that friend. I don't care if it's a girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever it is. You just need that partner in crime. Let's go do it together, or let's at least talk about this while I'm going. Walk me through it. Help me through it, And I think that's a great message is bring someone along, through all the hard things in your life, someone that you can laugh with.
That idea was called Booty Call.
Yeah.
Or wait, what was it? What was it, Tommy? It was, is that what it was
That's
called?
a good name for it.
To call a friend and get them to do it with you?
I think that idea was actually called Butt Buddies.
Oh, it was called Butt Buddies. Yeah, that's right. We have Booty Call, we have Butt Buddies, we have Booty Juice. We just kind of gave Andre what he was looking for.
Well, let me ask you guys one thing real quick, Jason and Tommy. Didn't people in the office get colonoscopies because of the campaign as you guys were doing the research for it?
Yeah. Yeah, we probably, our over 40 population, everyone got one as we were working on the campaign.
Which is great. It's research and development,
The impact at the agency. So, I mean, you got colonoscopy screenings, which is amazing. And then you're all really just, bonded you all.
Yeah, that's one thing it did. It brought all of us really close together. And like Tommy was saying, people that had gone through the halls of Mekanism, it brought, it's tragedy, or in this case, comedy and tragedy brought people closer together, which I think is another great output of the project.
A little bit of trauma bonding. What did you all take away from this experience, both personally and professionally? For
me, it was, I think it was much more than just get your colonoscopy. I think that I learned along the way that looking at something dark through a different lens can change everything. And that's what Andre did. And I learned that, considering your mortality more often can actually help you live a bigger, brighter life, right? That idea of, if I consider my death every day, I'm going to live a brighter day or stronger day and a better life because of it. And I think lastly, Andre really allows everyone to open up that conversation with humor. I think if people watch this film together, they can start talking about things they haven't been able to talk about. A lot of times when somebody gets cancer or sick, we tend to hear the bad news. We send our condolences and then we sort of shy away. We don't know what to say. And I think Andre in this film allows us to kind of reopen that conversation, realize we should be talking. We can be joking. We're not all as funny as Andre, but that's not the point. The point is, let's not change our relationships with each other just because somebody's sick. So those were sort of my takeaways from the film.
I think there was one review, and the quote at the top of the review was, "You're going to die laughing," and that was the big one for me. Is I'm going out laughing. Pretty simple.
Yeah, I'd say similar to Tommy. I think the idea that humor and grief are linked together. They're not necessarily opposites, but they're woven together. I think I got that from the film. I got that from our work on it. And I think from the campaign, doing something funny and humorous also, which the film was, that makes people take note and not doing like a grief-stricken PSA to get people to take action, but really to do something entertaining and make them smile to take action. I got that from our work on it. But the main thing was that humor and grief aren't opposites. They're like woven together.
Amazing. Tony, Jason, Tommy, again, thank you all. Looking forward to seeing what's next.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Leslie.
Thanks, Leslie.